doing the movies back in 2008. I was hooked from the beginning. So yeah, as you can see from my
Yeah.
I'm
I see. I see.
all things nerdy. So that's me.
Yeah, yeah, I think that Winter Soldier is my favorite too. Hands down, Winter Soldier is my favorite. I think that from not only like a visual standpoint, I think it's one of the best like fight scenes and everything in a Marvel movie, but it also I think has the best story. And I know Infinity War, it's great. We'll see how Endgame ends, but I think if we're just doing just a solo story, just take it as what it is, it's the best one. Like Infinity War is great, especially because it takes threads from so many different movies. But you kind of have to see that those other movies to really know. You can almost show anyone Winter Soldier and they'll enjoy that if they haven't seen any other Marvel movie.
Yeah. Usually when I'm introducing people, I start with Winter Soldier. I don't go in chronological order. I start with Winter Soldier. Watch Winter Soldier, then you'll be hooked, and then you can get all the other ones in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what's up. So Captain Marvel, this is what we're here to review. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I know you said you have takes. Where do you want to start?
Well, I will say this. It was better than I expected, but
Okay.
my expectations were not that high to begin with. Captain Marvel is not really one of my favorite characters. I didn't really follow her too much in the comics. Just whenever she was involved with some other character that I was into. So I wasn't really too geeked about the Captain Marvel movie other than I needed to see what role she was going to play in Endgame, but it was better than I expected. It really was. They made some changes, which kept it interesting. So I was, I kind of glad that they made those changes because it kept me intrigued. Otherwise, if I would already known how it was going to turn out, then I would have been bored and I probably wouldn't have liked it as much as I did. Um, in the comic books, the scrolls, all their bad guys, they changed that in the movie. They made the scrolls the
Yeah.
good guys. Marvel is a guy, definitely not a woman. They made that change. But I was also excited about some of the Easter eggs that they dropped in there. That I'm looking forward to see how that's going to play out in future movies. The possibility of Spectrum getting her own movie, which is Monica Rambeau, Maria's daughter. She
Yeah.
grows up to be Captain Marvel, and she's also Spectrum, Photon, a couple of other characters. So she might, hopefully, maybe end up in the Endgame movie as coming to help Captain Marvel as well. That's going to be a new black superhero for us. So I'm excited to see how those things turn out to be. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that Marvel is really getting great at doing is adapting um, these characters' origin stories to fit their narrative that they've built with the MCU. And they did that definitely with Captain Marvel. They made a lot of changes, but it makes sense to the world that they've built up until this point. So I think we're getting to the point. You know how when the MCU started, everyone praised them so much for how close they stuck to the comic book lore. I
Mm,
think we're getting to a place now where they're going to start changing more and more of that. And it's kind of good because, like you said, for us who actually read the comics or know those stories from there, it's important that we go into something and get surprised as well. Because the twist with the scrolls, never, never would have imagined something like that. And if someone would have told me, if going into the movie, someone would have said the scrolls are actually going to be the good guys, I would have been pissed off by it. But I
right.
don't know if it was Ben Middleton's uh, acting or what it was, but it all kind of made sense. And when you go back and watch it the second time, he was goofy the whole time, even during the interrogation when she was still knocked out. Like if you listen to him, he wasn't menacing at all. He was very goofy even during then. So I like it. They keep people on their toes and they twist it. Kevin Feige said that it's still possible to do the scroll invasion and still probably evil scrolls out there, and I think that's important too for us. They don't show any sign of slowing down. They're going to probably be doing these movies 15 years from now. So to add a depth to the scrolls early on to say no, some of these people can be good people, it's going to make it that much more surprising. I think for ones who just watch the movies, if we do get a secret invasion or we do get an evil scroll or the super scroll, that's going to be a twist for them, like it was a twist for us seeing the scrolls as the good guys.
Right. Exactly. I think, like you said, for the comic book fans of the cartoon series, we we go in already knowing what the story's going to be. We already know
Yeah.
what we're going to expect. So it's really exciting when we see something that we weren't ready for. But like you said, with Ben Mendelsohn, his portrayal of the character, you already felt kind of on the soft side for him. You know, like he can't be the bad
Yeah.
guy. I like this dude. So when
Yeah.
that twist, it's like, okay, I can dig it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's he was great. The fact that I think ever since he was in Rogue One, like it's been like a whole new thing for his career, and I love the actor. I wasn't familiar with him at all before that role, so I'm glad to see he's getting more and more work. He's a great actor. But we got to get into the next one. We're gonna talk about Sam Jackson kind of at the end, but what did you think about Brie Larson as Carol Danvers? Because how she's depicted in oh, you mentioned the 90s X-Men cartoon. I know she only kind of popped up in there a couple times with Rogue Story, but that and a few comic book stories are all I was personally familiar with her, and like her being funny wasn't something I was prepared for at all.
I was a little prepared for that. I don't know if you watched the new Black Panther series and some of the new Avengers series. She's more a comedic relief in those series. So that's kind of the portrayal that I expected. Um, did I expect that from Brie Larson in particular? No, because I mean, for me, most things that I've seen her in, her acting's kind of flat. And I was like, I don't know about this one. I don't know, but she did pretty good. So she kept me entertained. It was an improvement. I think the last thing that I really paid attention to her in was what was the King Kong movie, and she was in that with Sam Jackson too,
Oh yeah, yeah, she was, and
and
with
Loki,
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom
Yeah,
Hiddleston. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think she did a good job. Like I said, my expectations were low to begin with because I kind of hold her up there with the likes of like Kristen Stewart, and I'm just like, this is gonna be all bad.
oh
So
my God, she's a terrible actress. Kristen Stewart is a
exactly.
terrible actress.
I was glad that she did much better than I expected for her to be. So she did a good job. I'm excited to see how she meshes with the rest of the Avengers in Endgame. See how that plays out.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely get into that. The next, I want to talk about Samuel L. Jackson next, and I want to make this point. I believe Marvel actually built a time machine, and they just went back in time and got Samuel L. Jackson like off another movie set. Like he kind of looked almost exactly like he did in that Die Hard movie. I can't remember which one he was in.
Um, with the Vengeance.
Yes, they just went back in time and pulled him forward because there's no way. Like their aging technology is creepy. But what did you think about seeing a different side to this character? Because it was, yeah, to see Nick Fury like kind of, because he's really been stoic and he's
Right.
joked a couple of times. He was joking in Agents of Shield too, but to see him like this was it was refreshing for me. Again, adding a new dynamic to a character we've seen now in MCU for like 10 years, to add that whole new part of his character, I think was good. And it made use of them going back in time.
Yeah, Nick Fury's kind of the only character we haven't gotten an origin story from. So it was nice to see how he was brought into knowing that there are otherworldly things out here, other powers that we have not seen before, to see the shock and surprise on his face, but also not to be frightened off by it, by like, okay, this is something I can get into. I need to know a little bit more about what these otherworldly things are and what we're going to be fighting against. I liked it. I liked it. I liked his interactions with Goose, with the cat.
Yes.
He was, saw us a little softer side of Nick Fury and not this so serious gung ho character that he has been in the other movies. So I really enjoyed it. But yeah, like you said, their aging technology is far better than it was back in X-Men when they tried to age down Magneto and Professor
Oh,
X.
I remember
It
that.
was, it was
Yeah.
so obvious then. This time I was like, did they really go get like a facelift for Sam? What's going on? He looked good.
And
It was
and they,
excellent technology there. But yeah,
yeah, and
like you said,
sorry, they've slowly added, like, you can tell they've been building it out because we got it first. with Michael Douglas in the first Ant-Man in a
Hmm.
brief scene when he flashed back. And then we got it again in there's another movie we got it. Oh, we got it in more scenes in the second Ant-Man movie. Then they kind
Hmm.
of used it again with Robert Downey Jr. In Iron Man 3.
Yeah, and Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
They did a lot of the de-aging, but they've gotten real good. I think
Yeah, and
the
now they
best
use it
one.
for a full movie. That's crazy.
And it's so funny because you couldn't really tell that it was, computerized with Sam, but it was real obvious with Agent Coulson with the
Yeah.
de-aging. So I don't know, maybe it's that good old black don't crack. We look good anyway.
Hey, I think Coulson too. Maybe it's weirder with Coulson because like he hasn't aged much since he was in what the first Thor, whatever movie he popped. I think he was in the first Iron Man. He hasn't aged much in real life, but we don't have a reference point. I never saw his character in any movie before then. Like, so for them to de-age him is more obvious. Like we saw Samuel L. Jackson look exactly like this in the '90s, so it's a
Right.
little less jarring to the eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, but you mentioned Goose. What did you think about Goose? The Goose is one of my favorite characters. I have to know what happens. He has to pop up in a future movie at this point.
Um. So I knew because I forgot what his character name was in the comic books, but it
Chewie.
was it wasn't good. Yes, Chewie for
Yeah.
Chewbacca. That's right. So I knew there was something extra with the cat, and I didn't really want to let the cat out the bag, so to speak, for everybody else that went with me. So I think listening to the audience behind me, most people probably weren't aware of that because that came as a big shock when he was uh the Flurkin. I'm probably saying that wrong. Flurkin, yeah.
Yeah, Flurkin. Yeah.
So I thought it was hilarious, but I'm still thrown off. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch all the movies because the whole Tesseract timeline is just thrown off for me.
Yes.
'Cause,
Yes, it
they
is.
have in the 40s, and then we assumed that Shield had it, but I guess they didn't because Dr. Lawson had it. So I'm thrown off with the Tesseract timeline um, after this one. So I have to probably go back and try to piece it together.
Yeah, and and it's a lot thrown off. So I don't know how much you've watched Agents of Shield, and I definitely want to talk about kind of. I think this is the first time that their continuity is getting kind of thrown off because we assumed and they showed Shield had the Tesseract in, like you said, the 40s. I believe Howard Stark found it, so we kind of just assumed it stayed in Shield because he was part of Shield. Now I don't know if they're going to use the fact that Hydra was secretly underneath Shield the whole time. Maybe they had something to do with it, but the fact that Nick Fury's a part of Shield, he didn't even know what the Tesseract was. So like, what happened there? And then another thing is that we see we find out that Carol Danvers got a blood transfusion from a Jude Law's character, and that played a part. Like her blood was blue at that point. She got her powers from somewhere else, but her blood was blue now. Agent Coulson in Agents of Shield was brought back to life by using Kree blood, but his blood hasn't been blue. He doesn't have any powers, so that's another continuity issue. So it's just weird. They got to figure
Yeah,
it out.
they they probably forgot some of the things that they did. They're trying to correct them with time jumps and all of this. Um, I mean, that takes you all back to the Infinity Gauntlet situation, being in Odin's
Vote.
vault.
Yeah.
They're doing little things here to correct little mistakes that they've made over time. Um, but I think they're doing okay in correcting those mistakes, but it's just some things are like, okay, for us diehard fans, we dissect every little thing and
Yeah.
blow up their blogs and whatnot about it. So they're like, yeah, we know, but ignore that part. So same thing, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, overall I think I really enjoyed the movie. What did you think about so we get to the final act. First of all, anyone who didn't think Jude Law was really the bad guy, I just don't think you guys are paying it. Even before the scroll twist, I knew something. I
Mhm.
thought he was gonna be a scroll. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
That's what
Um,
I.
yeah, but the whole last scene with Carol Danvers really like taking off that chip she had on her neck and her powers really unleashing, it was just like it was a spectacle. She's definitely the most powerful. I still think Thor, now that he has Stormbreaker, is probably up there close to her. But this was the biggest spectacle we got to see, a hero unleashing. Like, she completely destroyed a whole army, and I think it was great to see.
Yeah, even before she, came to realize her full powers, she was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she took down those other scrolls and the ship with ease. I mean, she was still on lockdown and she was kicking ass. So
Yeah,
I think once she came to that full power, that was the big reveal for everyone to see. Okay, this is going to be the person to defeat Thanos. Because she's defeated Thanos in the comics before. I mean,
she
multiple
is.
people have, but she has been the one who take him down before. So I think that full fruition of her powers is going to be something to be reckoned with come end game. And I was excited to see that because I was getting a little frustrated throughout the movie that she wasn't really on full blast. I'm like, come on now, get
Yeah.
it together. This movie could have been over a long time ago if you just had that full power going. But yeah, but like you said, I expect Jude Law to be the bad guy in every movie I watch, period. So I already knew. But I thought he was gonna be Marvel. Because like I said, in the comic books, Marvel is a guy. He's the one that trains her. He's the one that she gets her powers from. So with the whole blood transfusion thing and showing him training her in the beginning, I was like, okay, well, he's definitely Marvel. Um, but I assumed that he was going to be, like you said, a Kree, disguised as Marvel. So that him being the bad guy, um, I was not shocked by that, but the fact that he wasn't Marvel, that threw me off. I just knew that he was going to be Marvel. Um, but yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens in Endgame.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because when it dropped, I was like, good, we get to talk about it. The new Endgame trailer.
Hmm.
First of all, it's beautiful. I like the whole scenes in black and white, but the red is highlighted.
Hmm.
Um, w- w- what was your reaction to that? Because mine was just I don't I'm glad that they haven't really shown anything from the movie but a couple of scenes. We got now confirmation of them being in those suits, those white suits. We got to see interaction between Thor and Captain Marvel, which I'm really looking forward to. But outside of that, we've really probably seen a total of maybe 5 minutes from the movie if you piece together
Right.
all the new footage, which I think is a great thing that they're doing. We still haven't fully seen Thanos either. But what do you think about the trailer?
Um, so my thing about the trailer is how accurate some of the guesses that some of the fans have made. The whole deal with the matching suits, the colors were wrong, but everybody
Yeah.
knew they was going to be a matching suit. um, we knew that they were purposely hiding Captain Marvel from the trailers that they had released previously. But now that she's added in the trailers, we're like, okay, we're going to see some good action. Um, we also got confirmation that Tony made it off that planet. He's back with our folks, and they're about to whoop some ass. So I think that was the thing that I was most excited about, because we know we're going to be losing some people at the end of this movie, and everybody was really dead set on it being Tony Stark. That he was going to die somewhere off on that planet alone. I knew that just could not be. So I'm excited to see that the team is all back together and they're about to, get together and whoop some Thanos ass. I'm excited to see this. I'm still sad because I don't know. Every shot that they show of Cap, I'm like, he looked like he's sad. He's about to go out. I don't know.
He's gone. He's a gone.
He's
My
at the end of
theory's been
his contract. He's posted about, this is his last movie.
yeah.
But I still want to believe it. I'm holding on to hope.
My theory has been literally since I finished Infinity War is that it's going to end with either Cap sacrificing himself to trap Thanos somewhere and they're trapped together, him dying. It's going to end in some form of sacrifice from Captain America. And I honestly think there's a Captain America sacrifices himself. Iron Man finally actually retires, settles down with Pepper, and Captain Marvel is the new leader of the Avengers. That's what I think.
Right, right. I think that is going to be the new for phase four that we're going into. That's what it's going to be. Captain Marvel's going to be the new team leader. We're going to be losing Cap. I'm still going to be sad, but he can't play the role forever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry just like I cried when we lost Wolverine. Um, But yeah, I think like you said, it's going to be a sacrificial move for Cap because that's just his character. That's what he's going to do. My main concern is who's going to be the new Captain America, because in the comic books, at the end of the original Civil War, that's when Falcon took over as Captain America. And I don't know about you, but I'm just not an Anthony Mackie fan. I really am not a fan of his portrayal of Falcon, and I surely do not want to see him as Captain America. I'm hoping they will go ahead and let Bucky do his Captain America.
Yeah, I think he can kill it.
Yeah, that's the only one that I want to see. If it ain't Bucky, then just leave Captain America gone because I can't do Anthony Mackie as Cap. I can't.
I loved Anthony Mackie in Winter Soldier when he first popped up, but I feel like he's gotten progressively worse over the
Exactly.
course of the MCU, and that sucks because he's a solid actor in certain roles. Like She Hate Me, I love his portrayal in that, or He Hate
Mhm.
Me. I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but it's he has potential. I don't know if they just haven't written anything much with him, but outside of like him and Bucky interacting and cracking jokes in Civil War, there hasn't been a scene with Anthony Mackie in any of these movies since Winter Soldier that I've just been like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind them recasting him. I hate to say it, but I wouldn't mind them recasting
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. Um, yeah, I'm just not. I'm just
him.
not talking. Hopefully, if Cap goes, he goes with them. We'll just get somebody else. Bring in Monica Rambeau and let her be Spectrum, and let's see how she progresses into her Captain Marvel role. That could be a good way to go for the next phase. But then we're also going to get our Black Widow solo film, so that I'm
Yes.
really ready for. Really, that one is going to be the one for me.
I can't wait to see what they do with that. And there's so much. I mean, we know a little bit about her backstory, but not much. It's enough gray area there where they can really. I know they're going to do the one film, but I could see them doing one or two films before they bring it up to current time. Just
Right.
filling out stuff that she's done with her and Hawkeye and being an agent of Shield and defecting from Russia. Everything could be it can be great. The last question that I have for you though, the Fox characters. We know they've now said that they're closing officially on the
Mm.
20th of this month. Um, what is the first Fox character that you think comes into the MCU? My personal one is I think we see Reed Richards before we see the full Fantastic Four. Maybe we see Reed Richards working on the quantum realm with Hank Pym or something, and then that kind of feeds into the Fantastic Four movie or a end credit scene. But I think Reed Richards is going to be the first one we see.
Well, Black Panther started from Fantastic Four. So I
Mhm.
can totally see Reed Richards working with Shuri
Mhm.
and then probably bringing in Hank Pym, even Tony Stark working on some quantum realm stuff, working on some um, uh, everything just together. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see who they can cast in that role. I know there have been a lot of kind of fan wishes. I like the idea of John Krasinski playing Reed
I do too.
Richards.
Yeah.
Um, I think that would be awesome. So I'm excited for them to do that and get Fantastic Four right. Because that last one they did with Michael B. Jordan and the other folks, I don't remember the name, that
That
was
was
terrible.
terrible.
That was terrible. I mean, the original Fantastic Four movies, they're all right,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're a good fit for what we're currently doing in the MCU. So I'm excited for them to redo those characters. I'm excited to see the possibility of them bringing in some of the X-Men, um, Storm, Rogue. Now that we've got Captain Marvel, I know they need to go ahead and try to put Rogue in there somewhere. How she got her powers. Um, I don't think we need the full X-Men in there. Just a couple of characters here and there that kind of fit into there would be
Mhm.
nice. So, but yeah, like you said, I think the first person they need to bring in would definitely be um, Reed. That
Yeah.
would be that would be awesome.
Unless like they end one of the end credits with in game is like Silver Surfer flying on his board or something, and that's it. I think like as far as a fully formed character, it's gonna be Reed Richards. At least I hope. And then I hope they like you said with the X-Men, just start off with the original five.
Hmm.
Just give me that. That's all I don't. I know people with Wolverine. Let Wolverine rest for a minute because you're never going. Whoever they cast next as Wolverine is going to always be in Hugh Jackman's shadow. So if they just start off with that core original group of X-Men, maybe even set it in the period piece to explain why we haven't seen them, they could do a lot of things, but just focus on those five first, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
just the first five. That makes sense. And get it right. But I don't think I think they're probably going to steer away from trying to start with the X Men because we still have currently
Yeah.
active X Men movies. As terrible as some of them are, I'm not looking forward to Dark Phoenix. Just looks terrible. So I think they're gonna try to steer away from the whole X-Men game and probably bring in, like I said, individual characters that we don't relate them to X-Men. We know they're from X-Men, but they're gonna be kind of on their own characters.
Yeah.
But like you said, Reed Richards makes the most sense. I mean, he can come in without backstory and us knowing the things that he's working on with the new technology, with, like I said, Shuri, Tony Stark, all of them working on some of this new stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, that's it. I want to thank you for taking time out and you're coming back for Endgame, which I already said you've been drafted.
Well,
But
thank you, Tom.
anytime, tell the people where they can find and follow you so they can get more comic book knowledge.
I am at on Instagram at Tommie Dearest, just like it sounds, TOMMIEDEAREST. That's me.
All right.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.